Welcome to the Surfside PPC Podcast. Go to surfsideppc.com to join Surfside PPC Premium and ask your questions. Thanks for listening, and please subscribe.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 5 of the Surfside PPC Podcast. Today, I'm going to have a couple tips for Google Ads, and then I have a question for you. So kind of a different episode. We're not going to focus on one specific topic. I'm going to do a couple different things here. As always, this is presented by Surfside PPC. So if you need any help with Google Ads, we are offering more in terms of meta ads. My Google Ads course will be out February 11th, 2026. So the way my Google Ads course is going to work, it's going to be a yearly subscription. So $34.99 a year gives you yearly access, and you will get the yearly updates when my new course comes out. So plan is to keep, new courses coming out every single year. You pay a yearly fee for the new course. So that's how it's going to work. Anybody who purchased the old course got grandfathered in. So yeah, they got lucky with having the course for life. So if you're interested in asking questions, if you want some of my bonus content, then either join my Patreon, my YouTube membership, or my school page. All of my bonus content will be posted there. So you'll get access to everything by joining any one of those. They're all the same price. So there's some yearly discounts on some of them. But basically, if you join any of them, then you'll get access to my bonus content wherever you prefer to get your content. So let's get into our questions. Questions, as always, come from subscribers. So if you want to ask your questions, that's a good way to do it. So the very first question, somebody just asked me for a Google Ads tip. And I actually thought this was just an interesting question. Just kind of do you have some type of Google Ads tip? Something that is useful to you that might be useful to others. So basically, let's put the question in now.
Do you have a random Google Ads tip that would be helpful? I'm interested in ways that you look at your Google Ads account and how to optimize results.
Okay, so I thought this was interesting because sometimes I like just having a general overview tip of something that's, hey, here's something that you can do that's going to help your overall results. Now, this might not be the greatest tip for everybody. And if you're like great at reporting and kind of going through all your reports and already have that very down and organized, then this is not going to be helpful for you. But a couple different things that I really like to do is at the end of the month, I like to, every single month, so, January turns into February, let's go to last month's results. Got a little lisp there. Let's go to last month's results, and I'm going to look at the overview screen. And basically just going through the entire overview screen, Google Ads is giving you more ways to customize it. So you can actually look at things you want to, but it just helps me kind of look at, if I have different campaigns, what's performing well. I like to look at keywords that are performing well. A few different things I like is just like the days and times that my ads are showing, some of the demographic data that's going to show. And then the thing I really like looking at is words, searches, like things that I'm appearing for the most, because it's a good way to find quick searches, words that you can exclude. It's also a good way to just make sure that you're targeting the right people that you want to target. The other thing I like to look at are some of the insights and auction insights. So we'll go over that a little bit, but I like looking at the overview screen on a monthly basis just to kind of make sure that, look at a high level overview of the data in your account. Sometimes when you're just looking at numbers, so campaign level performance, and you see clicks, impressions, costs, like there's not really much context to that. It's just, okay, this is what we're doing. But with the overview screen, then kind of going through like where your ads are showing, devices they're showing on, words, searches, it'll show your ads, like your ads that are appearing the most. So just a good way to just kind of give you a quick overview audit of your Google Ads account and what's happening in there on a monthly basis. So my first Google Ads tip is overview screen at the end of the month. I think it's a very, very useful tool that will give you kind of a quick look at an account. Like literally it takes 5 to 10 minutes. You could even take a full screenshot of the page, copy, select all, copy and paste it into your favorite AI tool. I'm basically just on Google Gemini now. It's the best one in my opinion, but you could do that with, copy paste, get a complete insight. Here is everything you need to know about your account in 20 bullet points. And it gives you quick things where you might be able to find ideas that, you might be overlooking. So that kind of goes into the second tip, which I just mentioned, and that is taking sections of my Google Ads account. So going into the insights, going into the auction insights, going into my search terms report and looking at like my top 500, my clicks, my impressions, the keywords that I'm targeting, basically going in and looking at every last piece of data that I can, all the different reports that they have there. So in the insights and reports, ad group level, ad level, just looking for, hey, here are some pieces that we see where you can probably improve your overall account. And the more context you give, the better. So if you say, hey, I'm working with this company that does water damage restoration. We do water damage restoration and fire restoration, and those are huge services for us. We also provide mold remediation, which is a big service, but it tends to be something where, we can get leads at a little bit of a lower cost than maybe water damage restoration we might get. So we want to separate out some of those campaigns. So you can give the context to Google saying, hey, we're willing to spend, $200 for a water damage restoration lead. Like, we're happy with that number. That is a good number for us because we make thousands of dollars on a job. So for mold remediation, we'd like that number to be closer to 100. So you can kind of look within your account and give context to Google and just kind of say, here's my goals. Here's what I'm seeing. Give me some ideas and some advice for things that are happening in my account. You're not going to be able to get as much as, and I wouldn't take things that Gemini says as far as keyword targeting and things like that with a grain of salt. Still think there is a major art to keyword targeting. I know I said on my previous podcast that, the death of the keyword, but, I think I don't think that's necessarily fully true. I don't think that's really going to be true. And if it is, it's not going to be anytime soon. And it'll probably just be that AI Max ends up playing a bigger role as we continue to run our advertisements and figure out what actually works on Google Ads. So basically my two tips are going to be using that overview screen, but just giving a high level overview of your account on a monthly basis, and then monthly, bi-weekly, even weekly if you want, go into Gemini, copy and paste portions of your account into it, search terms. And what I like to do is build a dashboard. So go into your insights and reports, your dashboards, and basically just build a big dashboard with all of this data, landing pages, ads. What are the key things you're looking at? Ads, landing page, keywords, all in any data you can as far as quality score, as far as, the click-through rate data that's coming in, the conversion data that's coming in, what conversions are coming in, and then give context to things. So if you say, hey, here is my qualified lead conversion. This is number one. This is what we care about. That would be kind of your idea. Say, okay, that's what we really want the most of. How can we get more of these? What is actually driving them? Now, it's hard to see that right now with Google Ads. I think there's a lot of reporting that's just like behind the scenes. And I know people have always fought to get deeper reporting and insights to figure out every single conversion path, which I think is starting to happen a little better. But yeah, my tips, basically, thing-wise, sometimes it's hard to really dig into an account. I think the overview screen is really helpful. I think using AI tools to put your the actual data from your account, give it to Google Gemini and say, give me a rundown, 20 bullet points of what's happening in my account. There are prompts for this. So, it could be something where give me 3 bullet points about my ads, 3 bullet points about my keywords, 3 bullet points about my search terms, 3 bullet points about my conversions, and basically give me tips and ideas and things that you're seeing and things I should double down, areas where I might be wasting my budget. So that's really what you're looking for. So that's going to be question number 1. So we're going to get into question number 2 now. It's also going to be part of our reporting. And it's a question I've gotten a few times. And it's one where I would say my answer isn't perfect. It's related to auction insights. It's just one of those where auction insights can be very hard to interpret at times. So I'm going to go over how I interpret it and then things I look for and what I'm kind of going after. So question number 2, let's put it in now. Okay.
How do you use the Auction Insights report? Is it important that I try to optimize for impression share, top of page impression share, and absolute top of page impression share? I wonder if it is something I should use and if I should be focused on increasing my impression share.
Question number 2 is about auction insights. So just a few different questions related to auction insights, top of page, so absolute top of page impression share, top of page impression share, and then some of the other statistics that are in there. So overlap rate. So there's a few different statistics. The ones I really care about. So when you go into an account, the ones I really care about, for impression share, I think a big thing is going to really matter is going to be the overall number of impressions that's available in the market you are targeting with the keywords you are targeting. And you really need to have an understanding that if I'm targeting the United States with broad match keywords, really your impression share is probably not going to be high unless you're spending to the moon. Like, American Express can target best travel credit card as a broad match keyword nationally, and they could probably get their impression share high, but it's going to cost a lot of money because there's a lot of available impressions within broad match keywords on a national basis. Now, for the local tree service that is serving, Des Moines, Iowa. So for that local tree service, basically there is a set of a total share of impressions available. I am targeting Des Moines, Iowa with tree service keywords, tree service near me, tree removal near me, tree trimming near me, tree trimming Des Moines. So I have my set of keywords that I'm targeting. Basically, your impression share is going to be the total number of impressions on those keywords you're targeting in that local market, which is going to be a much more reasonable number and something that makes more sense for, what you're trying to accomplish. Now, if you're a national company, for example, let's just say you're providing, you have some type of software for medical companies and you want to target, companies with, hey, we provide this billing software, medical billing software, whatever it might be. If you're a national company and you're targeting medical billing software, that kind of, which I would kind of consider to be a pretty broad keyword because I'm sure you have dental billing software and, all sorts of chiropractic billing software. I'm sure there's all sorts of different things. I would assume medical billing software does most of them unless it's a specialized service. But basically what you would want to do is target those keywords and basically say, what is my impression share for those keywords? And, if you're profitable and you're seeing really good results, then you want to maximize your impression share. If you don't want to maximize your impression share at the cost of, raising your cost per conversion and making your results more inefficient. So there's kind of a balancing act that you're doing with it, but there also needs to be context for total available impressions for what you're targeting within the market you're targeting it. So there's a lot of ways to kind of constrain your total impression share. There's a lot of ways to make it a huge number. So I would say if I'm working with a local company, local tree service, Des Moines, Iowa, let's use that example. This could be a local orthopedic in Des Moines, Iowa. So really any business that you have, in a specific market, you're targeting keywords in that market, you're targeting people in that market. So you really want to maximize your impression share there. So for that tree service, my goal is basically finding efficient conversion results first and foremost. If I can get efficient conversion results where we say, hey, last month we got 40 leads, we spent $80 per lead, we're seeing good results, leads look good, we're driving pretty good jobs with the leads. That's kind of your first goal. And then you're kind of looking at impression share. Okay, what is my impression share right now? With my total efficiency, what's my impression share? You go into your report and you see an impression share of 30%, let's say. That means there's more meat on the bone for you. You can raise your bids, you can raise your budget. There's more impressions available out there. You can also see this in the forecasting tool. So within your actual, where you set your daily budget, if let's say you have your daily budget set to $200 a day, you'll have a little graph there that you can click that will be your budget and bid simulator. Your budget and bid simulator will give you an idea of, okay, how many additional conversions can I get if I increase my bid and I increase my budget? And does it make sense? Because sometimes you might see it and you might say, I should probably decrease my bid and budget by 10% and I'll probably see the same exact results except slightly more efficient. So within that bid and forecasting tool, that also helps me guide me with, what I'm trying to do with impression share. So with impression share, my goal really with a local company is achieving efficient results and getting my impression share around 70% or above. In some local markets, it's more difficult to get your impression share higher. It just depends on overall level of competition, depends on how high you're willing to spend per conversion. If you have 3 or 4 companies in your local market that have a huge budget, maximize conversion set, or a huge target CPA bid, a huge budget set that they're kind of open with, yep, we'll overspend to get our conversions. But, with the understanding that we're getting a few more leads than our competitors are, and maybe we get a few more lifetime customers than our competitors do. So there's different approaches you can obviously. So my goal is getting efficient results, 70% plus impression share. Goal number 1 is always efficient results, and then I am trying to increase my impression share. The thing I do look at sometimes is top of page impression share. And then I think absolute top of page impression share is important too. Getting those numbers high if you're in your local market, dentists near me. I'm just going to keep using my Des Moines, Iowa, because why use a different market? We'll use a different one next episode. But, even if it's dentist Nashville, if you're like, I want to be, I have X amount of locations around the Nashville area. When people are searching dentist Nashville, I want to make sure that they are seeing one of my ads for one of my locations, depending on where they're located. I have 4 locations around Nashville. Then within your account, you really want to have a high impression share for those keywords. If your goal is, I want to be the leading dentist in this market, I want to have the most new patients coming in, I want to have the most calls coming in, and I want to get the most amount of people coming in who are looking for a dentist. If you're a pediatrician, a pediatric dentist, and you say, okay, pediatric dentist near me, we want to dominate this keyword. We're just going to focus on dominating this keyword. Now the next part becomes match types. You can go exact match. It'll be easier to achieve maximum impression share. You can go phrase match. There's a little more impression share out there. You can go broad match. There's way more impressions out there. So if you go, as you kind of expand your keywords, you can definitely see that you're going to increase the total number of available impressions, which is going to decrease your impression share. My goal is getting the best impression share for the best searches that I possibly can. It's hard to know that you're actually doing that. But honestly, if you see within a campaign, results look good, you talk with clients, the leads look good, you're seeing qualified leads come in, your targeting within your search terms looks strong, and your clicks on your keyword targeting looks strong. Really what I'm trying to do next is let's get our impression share up, because ultimately we want to be the leader in the market. And the only way to do that is achieve efficient results, maximize impression share. So that's kind of the way that I look at it. So that will conclude episode number 5. Thank you for listening, and make sure we tune in for episode number 6. Get all your questions by joining Surfside Premium, and then you can purchase my 2026 Google Ads course, $34.99 a year for access, and you will have yearly access to it and all my yearly updates. You could always cancel your subscription and just have access for the year, and that is perfectly fine. So let's see you on episode number 6.
Thanks for listening to the Surfside PPC podcast. Please go to surfsideppc.options. Or to get my course or join Surfside PPC Premium through my YouTube channel, my school page, or my Patreon, please subscribe.